everyone, it's Michelle Caruana from Play Cafe Academy, and in today's video, I want to share with you the 7 things I did in the first year of owning my business that I do not do now. And don't forget, I put a new video out every single week, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So over the last few years, as I've grown and matured as a business owner, one of the most important things I've learned is what to spend my time and energy on and what I'm better off delegating. Michael Hyatt, if you've heard of him, he's one of the greatest. In many of his books and programs, continuously refers to the desire zone when it comes to designing your ideal days and weeks. Operating within your desire zone simply means you're spending the bulk of your time doing both what you love and what you're good at. For me, a great example of something I was doing that was outside of my desire zone was payroll and bookkeeping. I neither enjoyed these tasks nor did them efficiently whatsoever. Hiring a bookkeeper and an accountant who happened to be the same person was expensive, which is why I held off on making that hire for so long. But honestly, once I did and once I offloaded those tasks, the benefit I brought to my business and the additional sales I was able to generate as a result of all my extra time made it well worth the investment. Over the last 4 years, I've also learned to recognize when I'm spending my energy on tasks that are not only outside my desire zone, but that do not serve my business or my customers whatsoever, like checking in daily on my competition, for example. Overall, I'm still learning and growing and maturing every single day and still learning how to protect and divvy up my time and energy, but here are 7 things I did in the early years of my business that I do not do now. Number 1, stalk the weather. So Climbing Vines Cafe and Play, we're in upstate New York, and we first opened to the public in February of 2016. And here in New York, we typically don't begin experiencing real outdoor weather until May. So at first, we were absolutely slammed for open play. We spent 3 full months in a state of constant at capacity. However, when May rolled around, we began to realize just how seasonal the open play business could be, and our bottom line certainly felt it. I vividly remember waking up every single morning and checking the weather and pretty much knowing what we would be able to do in sales that day, depending solely on the weather forecast. And if you've ever operated a business based on tumultuous weather forecasts, you know exactly why I do not recommend it. Because of our size and guest capacity, I just knew that we could not remain sustainable as a business if we put all our efforts into open play, and we began focusing more on keeping our birthday calendar booked, which led to a major increase in profits. We also incorporated other revenue streams into our nicer weather months, like drop-off day camps and events that guests must register in advance for. So we're really able to lock in our revenue regardless of the weather because people have to register in advance. This took some time and research into what type of programs our community needed, but after 3 years of implementation, we can finally sail through our slower open play months without stalking the weather forecast every single day. And I would love if you could leave me a comment on where you're tuning in from and what the weather is like in your area, because I know it's different. So leave a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from and what your weather seasons are like there. That brings us to number 2, work every party, event, or class. Since we chose birthday parties as our major focus shortly after opening, I knew that delivering an incredible birthday party experience for every single guest every single time would be critically important to our success. It was for this reason that I worked every single birthday party for months after we opened, as many as 6 every single weekend. While this was really difficult for my family and for me, I was in the first trimester of my 2nd pregnancy at the time, and I was exhausted. I knew that during the first few months of our business, our party packages, offerings, pricing, and party execution would need constant tweaks and adjustments until we got everything exactly right, and I just knew that. Once we gathered tons of customer feedback, implemented many changes, and worked out all the kinks in our offerings, I was finally able to take a step back and train my staff to execute the parties just as well as I could have. This took a great deal of training and documentation of our processes, which are now complete with photos and videos of proper party execution, but all of the work that I had done during those first few months was well worth it. And the same goes for all of our classes and events as well. Once I was able to experience how the events classes, and parties we host flowed, I was really able to establish our standard operating procedures and communicate those effectively to both our staff and guests, and in turn train any team member to stand in and fill that role. I'm now able to relax most weekends and spend time with my family, knowing that our clients are still being served at the highest level by our amazing team. I still do choose to work parties and events on occasion, but only when I want to and am able to, and only when my family schedule and my husband's travel schedule allows for it. And if you're wondering how our party schedule was completely booked for the first few months we were open, check out one of my previous videos on my channel where I share my marketing secrets. Number 3, worry about competition. For a year or so after we opened, I could barely go one single day without checking the websites and social media accounts of all my local competitors. And outside of that, I was also constantly looking over my shoulder, just hoping and praying that nobody would copy my business idea and steal all of my success and my customers. After 2 direct copycats did in fact open within the first few years, it turns out I was right about one thing. I was correct in thinking that when someone finds success doing something, others will quickly recognize that and attempt to emulate it as best they can to unlock that same success for themselves. However, I was not correct in thinking that these copycats would have an impact on my own business whatsoever. Both businesses I'm referring to, instead of opening their own original concept and really creating their own distinguishing factors, copied our business almost exactly. And as a result, one closed within a year and the other is also showing signs of a struggle. This is simply because these facilities made the common mistake of failing to stand out against their competition, which I discuss in more detail in another video about competition. Now, not only do I not check my competition more than maybe once monthly, because yes, it's still important to check that we're serving our community based on the gaps in service that they currently face, but I also do not blink when a new indoor playground announces its local opening. This is because we place so much of a priority on serving our customers at the absolute best level which they can be served, which has proven very difficult for any copycat to reverse engineer. We simply work hard every single day at staying true to our values and priorities, keeping our space clean and in tip-top shape, and continue serving our clients and fostering the relationships we have with them as best we can. We've not yet been impacted by the increasing number of indoor playgrounds in our area and have actually grown with each new competitor, which is crazy. But what I love most about competition is that it pushes me to be the best I can and to make sure my business is the best that it can be for my customers as well. Friendly competition encourages innovation and constant improvement at our facility, and it's a growing part of our business. Number 4, freak out if someone quits. As any business that employs mainly part-time team members, we do see a bit of employee turnover, and it was much higher when we first opened. Have you ever heard the phrase, employees join a company and quit a boss? Well, that was essentially true for Climbing Vines when we were just getting started. When we first opened our doors, I was pregnant with I had a 12-month-old toddler at home, and I had recently left a really cushy full-time corporate job. While I felt business was a strong suit of mine, having gone on to achieve a master's degree in economics, I was in no way prepared to manage a team or to develop efficient processes. After all, in business school, we learned a lot of theory. Everything is assumed with perfect conditions. However, in a real brick and mortar business setting, there's friction. It's not perfect. Appliances break, humans make mistakes, and employees and customers can be unpredictable. I've mostly learned to try and make my team members' lives as easy as possible through proper training, documenting processes, and being really receptive to feedback. As Paul Maskell shared in his recent interview with me, if an employee does something wrong, it's rarely solely their fault. More often than not, it's instead a breakdown in a process or a miscommunication that stemmed from a manager failing to communicate a task properly. Once I realized this, and it was a tough pill to swallow, I began taking more responsibility as a leader and my employees began being happier and more productive as a result. While our employee retention rate is higher than ever, we do still see a little bit of turnover. However, when someone does choose to pursue other employment, it's not a catastrophe as it would have been in the past. Now that we have all of our processes clearly documented, complete with photos and video, it's much easier and quicker to train a new employee. While I do still oversee the training process, I do not have to be the one to personally train each new hire, which was a huge source of stress for me at the start of my business. My best advice here is to really fine-tune your standard operating procedures and then document them as clearly as possible and give your employees access to the documentation and review it with them regularly. Be sure to communicate job responsibilities and expectations really clearly, and then empower each employee to bring you feedback to continually improve the way your business runs. Now, number 5, get upset if we got negative feedback, and this is a big one. And first, I'm not perfect in this area especially. I've made some major mistakes in dealing with online reviews and criticism that still haunt me to this day. My temper is hot. I mean, like the sun hot. And I often take reviews very personally because I care so deeply about my business and actually think of it as an extension of myself. It was easy to feel really defeated when somebody had something negative to say, especially in the beginning, because all of the opening stress was fresh and I was still learning about my own strengths and weaknesses as a business owner and when I should ask for help. As I discuss in detail on my blog, the link is below if you want to check it out. I try now to delegate as much customer service as possible. Now, this isn't because I don't love serving my customers and speaking with them, but because other staff members are less emotionally invested and can be more objective and level-headed in handling any issues that arise. Questions and complaints can really drain me emotionally, and when I'm feeling drained, I'm not left with the energy or passion to innovate and continue to improve. It would be unfair to the customers who know and love us to give up and quit or stop innovating just because of a few negative reviews. I keep pushing on for these customers, and remember that the people who bite the hardest online are often dealing with wounds themselves. My advice for this topic is to be kind above all else, and your ideal customers will continue finding you, and not everyone will be your ideal customer. So let it roll off your back as much as you can, and remember that when somebody else has something to say, that it says a lot more about them than it does about you or your business. And remember that not every complaint against your business is a personal attack on you. That brings us to number 6, doing all the things. Now, while there are still some things I continue to do weekly in my business, relinquishing some control and empowering my team members to handle more and more tasks has led to major growth in my business. When I'm able to move things like placing orders, paying bills, answering the phone, and cleaning off my plate, I'm able to dream up new classes and programs or create new free content for the blog or YouTube channel that you're watching or reading. While this was difficult, it all comes back to documentation and training. For over a year, I truly believed that I was saving time and money by doing every single task in my business myself. I was constantly busy, but never moved the needle in sales or felt caught up. Once I realized that I can train people other than myself through proper systems to do tasks just as well as I could, a whole new world of opportunity presented itself. So don't forget, busy is not a badge of honor, and brick and mortar business owners, especially in the Play Cafe business, tend to forget that. When I'm not behind the counter, I'm available to grow my business in other, more impactful ways. As the visionary of my indoor playground, I love protecting my energy to worry about the big stuff like the direction our cafe is going, menu changes, renovations, new equipment, promotions, and more. If I still did all the things in my business like a lot of Play Cafe owners do, I would surely not be able to implement improvements and develop strategic partnerships that serve my customers nearly as much as I'm able to now, and that would be a disservice to my customers. Now lastly, number 7, free consultations. I no longer do free or even paid one-on-one consultations. I get several "can I prick your brain" calls and emails every single day, and I decline them all. I instead suggest that they save time and money by learning from my free content here or enroll in my Play Cafe Academy program. Why? Well, if I said yes to all of these, I would have no time to serve my current Play Cafe Academy students who are all entrepreneurs who are already invested in making this change in their families' lives. So I know they're serious and I know I'm spending my time efficiently. I would also have no time to support my team or create new free content or serve the priorities at my own business. In the past, I did do several free and paid consultations. However, I noticed that everybody had the same questions. They were struggling in the same areas and I kept giving the same answers. So I took a step back and said, I do not want to see another one of these businesses open and close, but I just don't have time to walk each person through the process, and they certainly don't have the money to pay me $2,500 for 12 hours of consulting to walk them through the entire process, because most people charge $200 an hour. What I did instead was create Play Cafe Academy, which hosts about 12 hours of information at a fraction of that price. My students are able to achieve success in less time and for less money and at their own pace, which I'm really proud of. And you can read more about why I created Play Cafe Academy in the link in the description of this video. All in all, I've grown immensely as a business owner, a wife, and a mother throughout this entire journey. I say no now more than ever and have more help than ever because I finally learned to ask for it, but I'm also most importantly happier than ever. While I would not go back and change much about the very difficult first 2 years of my business because of the valuable lessons I learned, I would not trade the time and financial freedom I have right now for anything. So if you're serious about this and if you want to skip over most of the difficulties that I faced while I was getting my business off the ground, I encourage you to read more in the links below and join us over in Play Cafe Academy. I can't wait to see some new people there. And don't forget, I put out a new free video here every single week. So even if you do join us, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Have a great day.